Jamarcus, Eric, I appreciate y'all taking the time for this episode. If you could please, whoever wants to go first, tell us a little bit about you, and you know, go from there.
Okay. Hey, well, my name is Jamarcus, man. Part of the Bro Talk podcast with my brother E. Um, Louisiana, Alexandria born, man, but the streets of Houston raised me. Bengali married here with my beautiful wife, Kirsten. We have two kids, Jakaya. She just hit the preteen. Well, she's a teen now. So she in the teen phases on me. Have my other son, who's the greatest annoying big brother I've ever met, younger brother I've ever met, Jacory. Have two dogs, man. Been in the military for about 15 years now. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Very simple person. Just refinding my life with God right now. I had a great foundation when I was younger, but I just refound that relationship right now. So pretty much, man, that's it about me, man. Nothing special, just a everyday going dude.
Appreciate that.
Well, hey, everybody. Other half of Bro Talk. Been in the military 11 years now. A father of two, five, almost six next week. The name's Gavin, and my daughter is 18. Name is Amari. Um, just a God-fearing man who's progressing daily, and been on a long journey of life, walking with God and trying to understand. And coming from the streets of Alabama, born in Portsmouth, Virginia. My dad was military, so that's why I was stuck there for a little while. But Bama fan, of course you can see that. And yeah, man, progressing, bro. Definitely appreciate being on today.
So the first question I got is, what made y'all start Bro Talk?
Hey, this is a very funny story. Hey, so I'm guessing we're since y'all listen to Bro Talk, I'm guessing we're gonna be very hot, humble, open, and transparent on this podcast.
All
So
right.
I'm gonna lay it all out there. But man, I've been wanting to do a podcast ever since like forever, and just never had that I guess that faith to just step out and do something. And it's amazing. And it's very how God works that it took me going through like a terrible year of 2019, pretty much being at the bottom, roughest time in my life, to be being able to hear E when he came to San Antonio, and he wanted to do a podcast, and we just had like an introduction. I was like, man, I always want to do one too, and he was like, me too, and I was like, man, let's just go with it, man. Like we just gonna record one day. We ain't got no apps. We ain't got no nothing. And man, that's literally how it worked off, man. It's just very funny that I know for myself, I was at a rough spot in my time, and something amazing happened out of it on my side. So that's just what it was, man. I've always wanted to do one, and that's all it took was for me to be at the bottom, for me to get going on my side to be able to do that.
It reminds me of like the best albums get written when those artists are going through something.
True statement. True statement.
And so I think that, and we talked about a little this before we started recording, Eric. One thing I want people to kind of think about is with this Bro Talk. I think that name for the podcast is pretty cool because of the fact that, yeah, you're right. Men aren't, we are taught and raised that men are not supposed to be vulnerable. And don't cry. What you crying for? Why don't show your pain, stuff like that. And I get it. There are times when we need to be manly and cover our family, all of us that are family men. But we also have emotions as well, right? We're human beings. And so I think throughout that podcast, it's definitely, emphasized on like, hey, look, this is what I'm going through as a man. These are my responsibilities. And this is how I deal with them. This is how I process them. And this is how I overcome them. And I think a lot of men need to hear that. Whether God-fearing men or just men in period that are just trying to do right by their family and by themselves. And I think that we don't get to hear that enough, which is perfect, that because if I go across the, Google and stuff like that, I don't really come across too many podcast topics or content topics about that. And so I think y'all found a good a good topic to discuss that a lot of men, they could listen to in their car and be like, you know what, yeah, that is what I'm going through. That is how I'm feeling. And it's pretty raw content too, that I think maybe uncomfortable conversations that people don't feel like I want to talk about out loud, like, because I may be ashamed,
Yeah.
And it's crazy that you say that, man, because that's kind of like how me and Jamarcus started talking. I show up to San Antonio, I'm checking in, we have a conversation, and like 3 days later, he was like, bro, let's just do a podcast. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, God placed it on my heart to be open, and before I got to San Antonio, that was one of the things, just like you said, you can Google it and you don't see a whole lot of content. You don't see a whole lot of, programs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, man, I need an outlet, because as men, we carry the world on our shoulders, an outlet to speak to other men who understand where we're coming from. Like, we love our women, but they don't understand what we carry. And, out of that, man, me and my brother just got to talking, man. And, Bro Talk was born, so I'd be good for that.
So within that, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, I was just agreeing with y'all, man.
So yeah, within that, right? So I noticed a lot of the topics that y'all talk about are going through the journey that that people may be going through in all walks of life, right? And so one thing I wanted to ask is, what advice do you have for men that, or just people in general, when they are going through that journey, what do you think they should be getting that motivation from, that drive from, to, hey, I'm gonna push through this?
Ooh, man.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because it's a dig deep type of thing.
I go.
So like for me, man, along my journey, man, it was just the fact that I had been through so much, man. I've taken so many punches from the world in relationship and finances and job and, relationship far as family and stuff like that. And so, the motivation to keep going, man, is just that once you start your journey and understand, I had to understand how God saw me, and once I saw how he saw me, that opened the doors for everything else in life, whether that's business, whether that's family, whether that's finances, whether that's in career. Like, he saw something greater than me. He spoke words into me like, hey man, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. So if that's how he sees me, then I'm gonna walk in my door, so that I can walk in. I found my purpose, right? So that, I think a lot of times as men or as people, we're just walking through life and not understanding that we have purpose, and we're here for a reason. Nothing is coincidence. This podcast that we're on today is not coincidence. Like, everything that has transpired in life, 2020 pandemic, it's not coincidence. So understand that your life is purposeful. So you got to get there, and you just got to walk into it in the authority.
Man, just to tie into that, man, like you said something earlier that was very, very important, because like a lot of times with the podcast, Bro Talk, we are, talking about a lot of our journey, like you're saying, but at the same time, like it's just what it is. It's a journey, and it didn't start off with, Christ with now one of us. It's a relationship that we're building. So, it's for everybody who is with Christ right now and everybody who may be coming into Christ, that journey. Like, I wanted to pinpoint that point you made earlier about, people who may be in the same path or people who may be on the outside listening in. But man, it's for me, man, it's just family is very big for me. It's very, very big. It's always been that motivation for me to have a family that I never seen when I was growing up. I never had a dad and a mom in the same time. Mm-hmm. My father was absent, talked about it a lot on the podcast. So I use that as motivation to try to be a better father than my father. But it was also a curse because I was turning into my father just in different ways, man. So like everything I was doing wasn't working for me. Like I was like, I can do it. And like God was just like, you can't do it by yourself. So he stripped all those things away and he like pointed me to a path where I needed him. Like he used to talk to me all the time about being submissive. And for a man, it's like something very hard. Like I need to submit. Like, I don't know about that one, but I mean, at the time, like I had to learn how to submit to God so he can like watch over me and my family and just put everything in his hands, man. It's a struggle every day. It's not something I'm great at. Like I struggle with it literally every day. But that's just like you said, man, just the journey that, that's been carrying me and been motivating me. Just, the unknown pretty much. A lot of us are afraid of the unknown. I'm actually at a point in my life where I'm at peace with the unknown, that I'm just thinking that, God has me and he has everything in plan.
I like what you talked about as far as you being a father and trying to battle generational curses. One thing that I'm challenged with, and I had an episode, it was episode 7, I was talking about with parenthood and fatherhood with my father, where me at my generation, I'm trying to like crush all the generational curses that ever, plagued the Ritchie family in my generation. And I realized that I cannot do that on my own. And I'm also, it puts a lot of burden and stress around the people around me, because here I am trying to fight my great grandpa's ghost who died 20 years ago because of the things that he did or didn't do to my grandpa, who then did it to my father. And now I'm his son. And then now I have an 8-year-old who now I'm like, all right, Anthony Jr., you need to be better than everybody. All the things that all the other Ritchie men messed up on, hey, it's on you now, And I think legacy means a lot to us, man, especially when we end up having kids. Yeah. I think to me, especially if I end up having a son who's going to carry on, the Ritchie name, and you don't want to overcompensate, and you also don't want to put all that pressure on or any of your kids or any of your family. And so that's one thing that I've learned when it comes to having that transparency with my son and with my father. I think that's the main thing that has been able to help me be the father that I am, is having that transparency. And I think a lot of men, right, transparency with other men or even your kids, because we're supposed to be that superhero, right? We're supposed to be perfect and that forever covering individual. But what I learned is that I think that there's a trust factor that's kind of ignited when you have that a little bit of transparency. Obviously, you have to give the kid version. You're not telling them explicit stuff, but I think it helps them understand, like, I get it. My dad, he's got it, but he's also a human being. And I think throughout the years they will go to respect you on that. And I appreciate you touching on that, because that's a really big deal to me, as far as each year we're getting better, each generation is getting better. And through that, we have to talk through the issues that we have. And there may be some things that we didn't know we had. It was from my father, my grandfather. There's some traits that I realized is from my grandfather, actually, that I didn't know until I got older. And then I remember some of the stories my father would tell me, and I'm like, and I'm acting like my grandfather. Or I know my mom looks at me like, that's something your father would say. And I haven't even talked to my dad in about 2 weeks, And so I would say, what do you think holds people back from progressing in their journey, whatever they're chasing?
Man, you said it earlier, man. People are that transparency part, right? We don't like what the things that what society would say is a bad thing in us, or something that's broken or imperfect. You know what I'm saying? So everybody wants to feel, they want to be seen as strong, or they got this image of themselves that they want to be seen as. And when you go through the journeys of life, like, you get broken in some areas, man. And that's how, you get broken in those areas, you learn lessons. You get broken in those areas, you learn lessons. And then you're starting to grow and you're starting to heal. And, like you just said, man, breaking generational curses, and you start to develop your own way of raising your kids. And so, for me, it was like, man, I'm not gonna get on here and talk to people about, I was abused as a kid, or, I don't want to expose my family like that, or I don't want to show people like, man, I hurt, you know what I'm saying? Because for me growing up, I had to defend myself all my life. So I'm like, man, I'm not gonna show nobody no signs of weakness. What I'm talking to men for about anything, like, we gonna talk about sports, women, and money. Like, that's the conversation.
Yeah.
When it comes to the exposure, it's like, like old films, right? When you used to take pictures, you took them to the dark room. If you put the light on it, the picture go away, right? So whatever picture we trying to paint, like, when when it gets exposed, like, you see the rawness of that picture, right? And a lot of times we don't want people to see that. So for me, it's like, hey man, it's all right to expose those things that are hurting you, those things that you fail at, or you know what I'm saying? So how can somebody else learn if they never know your failures?
Yeah, true. Man, it's amazing that like you asked the question, because like I'm about to be 36 next month, and I literally just learned like what's been getting a part of my way, like literally this week. So the question that you're asking me is just another confirmation that God is trying to tell me something. And I shared it with E like 2 days ago. Matter of fact, for a long time, I know what stops a lot of people is themselves. Like we get in our own ways. Like we compare ourselves to other people, where I'm, 30 and I'm not married, or I don't have a mansion, or I don't have this car. So we get in our ways and we try to go so hard being a husband at the workplace that our family will suffer from that. And that was a part of my thing. I felt like, generational curse. All I saw was men do was work, make sure our house is over, everybody had food. And I thought that's all I needed to do to work to be a great husband, which my family suffered from that. So I had to learn from that. So I was just getting in my way. But one of the things I just learned, man, that's so beautiful is I didn't know I was forgiven. I didn't know that. Like I didn't know that, you hear it all the time. Jesus went to hell and paid for our sins, and we were forgiven. And we hear it, but I don't think we really like pay attention to it. Like we were ultimately forgiven for everything that we're gonna do, have done, and will do. And forgiveness gets in our way, because if we don't know we're forgiven, then we don't know how to give forgiveness. So like it's like the entire mess up we do as men with pride, we think, oh my God, I messed up. Like I can't bounce back from it. Like I can't come back from what I've done. But we've ultimately been forgiven. So like we gotta understand that we just need to turn from whatever we're doing and, make the other side better. We're just progressing. That's all we are. We're never going to be perfect. We're just progressing men, learning every day. Like I said, I'm about to be 36 and I just learned this with my family and everything like that. And it was great to hear you say that you learned something about general curses and breaking chains at an early age. And that means that things are getting out, like, now people are seeing stuff differently, people are hearing differently, and that's just amazing. So a lot of it is that we get in our own way, man. And once we get in our own way, it's so hard to remove ourselves.
I had a senior chief, he transferred a couple years ago, and I would say probably the worst chain of command experience I've had in my career. And this
Mhm.
guy, he would make it his business to, and I don't know where he got the energy from, but he'd have the energy to probably stay up about 20 hours a day. And that was a lot of it was towards work, and a lot of it was towards terrorizing sailors. And even after he transferred, he would sometimes come back on a boat and my blood would still boil. And,
Mm.
I didn't, because I didn't like how he treated me. I didn't like how he treated the sailors. It just everybody just terrorized. And I realized that I was letting him dictate my emotions. I was letting him dictate my
Yeah.
bitterness at the chain of command that at the new chain of command that I was getting, who had nothing to do with this man. Right? They came in
Mm.
fresh, and it was holding me back from being the leader that I needed to be. And so I had to come to the realization that I need to let go of this guy and not let him still boil me the way he do. Now, don't get me wrong. If I see him in person, I'll probably just walk by the man. Like I'm not really trying to deal with him, because he might try to say something slick. But I had to let go, and I'm getting to the point where I can forgive. I'm not there fully, but I'm getting to that point. And because I don't want to let this guy, who's probably not even thinking about me, he probably don't moved on in life, still
Yeah.
hold that type of power over me from growing. And
Mm.
and I don't want to end up becoming the person that he was, because I would be a fool to say. Now there are some things that I learned from him, because he didn't make senior chief for no reason. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
but at the same time, I had to learn how to filter some of that stuff out, or a lot of it out actually. Technicality wise, technically he knew what he was doing, processing, he knew what he was doing, but at the same time, as far as leadership, I had to kind of separate that. And I think that was my
Yeah.
leadership stripe, and I went through it for a reason, and I'm still trying to figure out why. because I didn't think I needed that in my life, to be honest with you. I didn't think I needed that obstacle at all.
Ooh.
I didn't. That wasn't what I thought
like
I expected when I came to the Carrier. So, I expect challenges throughout my life, and my life has never been easy. But at the same time, I guess that's how God works, and that's how life works, right? You get thrown something you didn't expect, and then now you are better from it. Like I like to say, pressure builds diamonds.
Mm-hmm. Like that. I like that one, man. We might have to add that one to the podcast. On the investments, man. I like that one, boss, for real. I like how man, because the way you said it, man. Sometimes we get obstacles, and we be like, man, it's the enemy playing games and all that type stuff. But he made a great point about this on the Heart series, where we get tested by God to make sure whatever he did or whatever he pulling us through works. Yeah. Like when you go to the hospital, like he made that, and it may seem like something we don't need. Like, God, like, why am I going through this? Like, I'm good. I don't need this test right now. I already know the answers, but it's for something that's so far down the line that we can't even see. That's going to be purposefully for you. Like, man, but I love how you put that, because like you said, just talking like this, man, you start to think about those things. Like, what did I go through that I really didn't need, but it made me better? And that's just what you said, just made me start thinking about those things. And I could be like, okay, man, that's something I went through. I didn't need it, but it came back up later. And you know what I'm saying? That was good, man. That was real good.
Hey, man. Yeah, that was good, bro. To piggyback off of it, man. Sometimes things that we go through ain't for us.
Okay.
It's later down the line, because you'll be able to navigate them through that story or that storm or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or how to help a young sailor navigate how to deal with leadership like that. So, I always I forgot where I got this from, but there's always the analogy of we're all trees bearing fruit, and the fruit that we bear isn't for us, it's for other people to pick off of.
That's actually especially in leadership too.
Yeah,
right. All the fruit ain't for you, it's for your junior sailors or anybody that's in a managerial supervisor position. And I think because I got 6 more months left on board, and so I think as I'm getting closer to leaving, I am realizing that, because I see some of the sailors, whether it's a first class that just checked on board or a junior sailor, they are going through the same thing that I experienced when I first checked on board. I'm on a big deck, right? So like a lot of people, they use the smaller commands and they come to a carrier for the first time, and it's like, whoa, like this is all this volume of work. And it's not the same camaraderie either, right? Everybody's just kind of on their way. It's like a city.
Yeah.
So they're like, like what is how y'all survive like this? Like how y'all stick and move like that? And it's like, hey, you got to kind of get with it. And this is the best way to move. Find a confidant. Like I always, like, that's the first thing I tell someone when they come, like, find a confidant. Don't find a bunch of friends. Find somebody that you could really vent to. Cause I know I ain't gonna be the person that you could talk to all the time about everything. Yeah. And there's some things that I just don't need to know. You know what I'm saying? You just need to probably discuss that with another friend, somebody that you can kind of open up to. But speaking of confidence, right? Because people, while they're going through stuff, right, they do need to surround themselves around people that are trustworthy. What do you recommend about that? Like when people are going through that stuff, who should they be keeping close by?
This one was hard for me. We had an episode about this one. Another transparent moment, man. Before I got to San Antonio, me and my wife were going through so much, like almost on the brink of divorce for things that I did. We was just crazy, right? And the friends that I had around, man, they were only dudes. They were only being dudes. Like, like your guy friends are telling you, nah, man, you don't need it. We got you, man. You come chill at the apartment. We got you. We just gonna party out until it get out your system and all of those things. And at the time, I'm thinking, yo, this is the right thing to do. This is my friends looking out for me. They just want me to be happy. But in the long run, man, that wouldn't have been what was needed, man. That's not that wasn't the purpose for my family getting together. That's not what God saw my family for. And, I have nothing against them. I had to let them know I had to depart from them. It was only because it wasn't the right time. If God bring us back together, man, and you guys, are able to, get on the path that I'm at, then, God be the glory. But what I needed was the friend I met in E. Like, I needed somebody to hold me accountable. Like, I needed somebody to tell me, hey, bro, like, what you're doing is wrong, man. That's not how you need to move. That's not helping your family. You know what I'm saying? I love you, bro, but I'm not going to enable you to do something. A lot of times we just want helpers. And no, a lot of times we just want enablers, people that love us to let us do what we want to do. And that's not really what we need. We need somebody to love us and, be like accountable for us. Like, iron sharpens iron. So I need you to be iron with me. Like, if I'm wood and he's iron, he ain't sharpening me, he's cutting through me, right? So like it just has to be like, you need people around you that's going to hold you accountable. And I ain't talking about like God-fearing people right now. Like, I have some neighbors who are, they know God, but they really don't talk about God, but they're just good people who are able to be transparent with me. If they're going through stuff, they talk about it in their marriage, and we talk about it with our marriage. And it's just like a accountability thing, man. And that's what I know me and EGOT is just like accountable. Like, I like that part of holding each other accountable.
Yeah, you need truthful people around you, man. Like I said, me being raised in the streets of Alabama, like, my family in Alabama always taught me to roll with loyalty, or have people that are around you that are loyal. Loyalty comes in a lot of different packages, So if you say that we're friends, the expectation for me is that you're gonna make sure that I'm gonna have you in my best interest, and I'm gonna be in your best interest to make sure nothing happens. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody around me in my circle, I want them to be good. You know what I mean? And that's on all levels, whether it's mental health, whether it's financially or whatever. I want you to be good. So just like Jamarcus said, being accountable and what I'm saying, having trustworthy people around you, that helps you navigate so much of life. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't got good friends around you, man, you might want to reevaluate some of your circle or some of the things you're doing,
Yeah. And I guess the interesting part is being able to discern who's really for you and who's not. What I realized throughout my life is that I think people kind of, especially if they see you on a journey and you point to the top, going to high and right in life, that they see, all right, let me ride off of them real quick. And then once I got what I needed, all right, I'm out. And here you thought you had somebody that was loyal, that was really down for you, and really they was just there for the season, for just a short amount of time frame.
Yeah.
And so throughout your journey, you're filtering through people that you think, oh, they're there for me, they cool, I could trust them, and then come to find out it's not. So I think it's very interesting time and process, because you don't want to become bitter from it, but it does allow you to say, all right, that person right there, they're showing me some yellow flags. Let me not deal with them. This is the person right here that I can end up being my accountability partner. And I think that's what a lot of people need, is at least in a one person accountability partner. It could be your parents. It don't have to be, just another friend. Somebody you could talk to, and that is able to say, hey, look, this is what's messing up on. I like that iron sharpens iron. And I've definitely been learning that and going through that, especially being on the carrier, right? Seeing everybody who's for you and who's not. You tell somebody one thing in confidence, and the next thing they come back around like, what the heck? Like, like I'm going through stuff on this deployment, and I'm trying to, trying to talk to you, and the next thing you know, your stuff is aired out, thinking that you had somebody. And I think also too, when it comes to being a man, we're all on you. Eric, you brought something up about how, like, you've been on the defense, right? Your whole life. And I could definitely relate to that in the aspect of, like, as a boy, as a man, what I say, is this gonna make me sound weak? Yeah. What I say is this going to make them think of me less of a man? Right now, I don't meet the status quo. And then now my credibility is shot as a man. So everything that I come out of my mouth sounds like I have a Mickey Mouse voice now, versus the normal voice you hear. And we because to us, that's what one of the things that defines us. That's one of the things that we feel like as we walk into a room, we command and demand that manly respect. And so it's getting men to be comfortable into both ways of being transparent and vulnerable, yet also still being manly, if that's that's what you want to call it, is kind of a tough thing. And I think that's what young boys and young men and still probably older men still need some type of guidance on that, because I don't think that's something that you just naturally kind of fall into. I think that's something that's taught, that you experience by. And so I think that's why I kind of like this discussion, because I think a lot of young men definitely need to hear this. That, hey, what may be put out, whether it's in social media or any type of forum platform, that really isn't the way to really be the man that our society needs. Whether if you want to pinpoint on a demographic of Black men or just men in general, because if we talk about Black men, then that's a whole discussion in itself right there.
Oh, different.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because growing up, man, when we started this podcast, man, I was sitting back one day, man, and I was just thinking, like, what was I watching or listening to back in the day? What was my blueprint to how to become a man? And all I saw was my family teaching me how to be a player, how to get women, how to go work a job, and nothing else. And once I got in the Navy and started, meeting different people and exploring different circles, especially in the entrepreneurial world, I started learning about personal development. And I'm like, yo, what is this? And once the switch turned in my mind to personal development, man, I just became engulfed in trying to become a better me, And so now my purpose is to help other people do the same thing. Like I want people to don't walk around sad all day or walking around with holding weight on to you, because it's a mind thing. You know what I'm saying? You got to change your mind and the aspect and how you look at life. If I would have stayed in the mindset coming from where I came from, I wouldn't be on this podcast today. So you have to, take your life's trials and the things that you learn, and you just got to share them, man, so that we can all grow. It's the only way we can, like Jamarcus say, iron sharpens iron.
Just really quick to touch in on that, man, because both of y'all said something that was made me think of something, man. I have a little line that I always like to say, you have to get tested for the testimony, and you have to go through mess to get the message, right? That's mainly for you, but once you get that, I just feel like now I'm knowing in my head, it's my job to help somebody not go through the same thing I went through. Somebody doesn't have to go through that. And growing up, like he said, man, I don't remember dudes getting on a podcast and just chopping it up, talking about finances, talking about, God, talking about how to be, or, what is it really to be a man? Who can define that? What is it to be a man at that? Yeah. What is it to be a Black man at that? We didn't have that growing up. So, man, all of this, man, I'm hoping that my biggest thing after I'm done with the podcast is that somebody hears it that doesn't do the same things I did. That's what you kind of wish for. So you said it earlier, man, and he just tagged it on. And I had to say something about it, because that's the biggest thing of it all, that we didn't have this growing up. I know I didn't. Cartoon Network was what I had, and you see Uncle Phil, right? Carl Winslow on Family Matters. That's what we had. That's what we thought of. Okay, well, I guess this is how to be a man, but who knows how to really define a man? So, man, y'all made some real good points about that, man. I was some real nuggets that y'all said, man.
I would say one thing I learned, because you touched on finances, right? So one thing my father would say is, I don't like to be judged by the amount of money that I make. And because what the real value is as a man is what he instills in his kids. And so I was able to recognize growing up, after I moved out my parents' house, that money is a tool, nothing more. And what I do with that tool is what matters. So what am I doing using this money to provide some of the opportunities maybe my father couldn't? Not to buy a PlayStation 5, but am I using it to put him in a STEM program? Am I using it to, put him into some type of athletic program that I couldn't go? I remember growing up, I made it to the AAU squad, but we didn't have it for me to be sent to baseball camp, right?
Yeah.
So maybe let's just say my son has the same athletic ability I did growing up in the same skill. If I put and invest that time and money into him in those certain particular things he likes, then maybe he'll be able to make it to where I didn't because I was able to have the money and the time to invest in him. And so I look at our kids as our biggest investment, not, a stock or anything like that. Even though obviously we do that, right, for residual, dividends and stuff like that. But that's one big thing I think as a man I learned. It's not so much like how much money you're able to make and what you can sit there and buy for your woman or whoever you're dealing with, or even your kids, right? Because the biggest thing is like I want to be able to get things for my kids that I couldn't get. But it's more so what are you able to invest in them? Private school, things like that. And I think that's kind of missed, right? We emphasize on just getting the money, but what are we doing with it after we get it?
Yes, sir.
True.
Like you said, man, that comes with the mindset, and that was one of the things that triggered me because I was, I came in the Navy with a game plan. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that to get this money. And I had a son and a daughter. It's like, okay, now, for me, me and my son's mother, we got divorced, but during that time, I was trying to get money. And I didn't really put the focus into my kids or put, me and Jamarcus, we talk about this all the time. We talked about tithing, right? We go to church and they talk about you got to tithe. Most of the time people think it's money, but God never said that. Yes, it is money, but it's 10%. It's tithing the increase or your net, right? So tithing comes with time. Tithing comes with, life lessons that you instill into your kids. And the more we pour into them what wasn't poured into us, we have a better product of pushing a young man or a young woman into society today. And especially, in the Black community, that's the biggest lack right there is teaching our kids things that can help them to sustain through life.
Mm-hmm. Dang. I should have had my father added to this episode. He would definitely have a lot to say about this because, like I said earlier, if you want to talk about men in general and pass things on to kids, but then also when you talk about the Black community, it's a totally different topic because of the fact that a lot of us do grow up having to be on the defense at all times. So having to be, and then also it's all about exposure. In one of the episodes, I was talking about the fact that, the kids that grow up in the hood or any Black kid is no, smarter or dumber than any other kid in any other community. It is what they are exposed to. Mm-hmm. So as men, I think that we should be held accountable. We're the most responsible to ensuring, hey, these are the things that you need to be exposed to in order to, and I hate the fact that this is the standard, but to at least get out the hood, right? At least to do better. I hate the fact that we're still there at that, but at least, hey, this is how you can make money, but also this is what you need to do with it. Because we're good at making money, actually. We're great at it. We're great at hustling.
Mm-hmm. It's in our blood, man.
The culture. Yeah.
And by the way, Jamarcus, you have to be tested to have a testimony. I'm gonna have to take that idea, man. Make a T-shirt out of that. That was actually
take it, man. Take it, man.
I like that one.
Take it.
For sure, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's a good topic, man. Like I love speaking about that topic, man. I have a 6-year-old son, and man, the one thing I want him to understand and learn, man, like, you don't have to be. I think Marcus said this on one of our episodes, or we were just talking one day, but I don't want my son to be judged on, what I'm saying, what he can. I want him to be judged on his credentials, what he can do, what he's approved to do, and what he's been through school or whatever. They not because of what he looks like or where he comes from. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I'm instilling in him, one of the biggest things I instill in him now. My son is a perfectionist at 6 years old. I've never seen this before. And it's like, man, you taking on traits of your father, because I was like that. When I didn't get something right, I used to get frustrated. And so what I started recognizing is that I need to speak life into him and let him know, like, hey, son, it's okay to fail. I didn't learn failure was okay until I was like 25, because my pop never taught me that, or my mom never taught me that, or my community never taught me that. my community taught me that failure, hey man, if you fail, that's it. You know, came back with nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to my son, like I had to coach him, like, hey man, you're not gonna get everything right all the time. But if you give it your all, you're gonna learn a lesson from it. And so the next time it come around, you know what not to do. You're gonna succeed at it. Right. And so I think he was in school, he was doing a school assessment and he excuse me, the first assessment he didn't pass, but the second one came back around and he passed with flying colors. And you should just see the joy that came over him because he did it. And he was like, yeah, daddy, I did it. And it's like that proud moment as a father is like, man, I instilled something that was valuable into him. And that's gonna take him through, you know what I'm saying, throughout the rest of his life.
Man, Rich, like real quick, you made me think of a story, like it's just a real quick story. You made me think of it when you was talking about the like the kids from the hood having the same thing. My son, everything that I've done in the military has been to make my son not have the same grow up that I had, right? That's our overall goal, like you were talking about, being able to put them in a place that they didn't have to go through some of the same things that that I went through. So he played football at a Cornerstone church, real big church out here in San Antonio, but he was the only black kid on the team, right? And they were good. We got to the playoffs, state playoffs, and they had to play a team from the southeast side of San Antonio, which is literally like the entire black side of San Antonio. These kids were different from the kids that my son was on, the team that he was on. And my son could notice it from across the field. Like they were louder, they were disciplined, like way more disciplined, right? Because the kids he played for, they were rich kids. I'm not gonna lie. They really didn't listen. They had everything they needed. They were just playing football because it was fun. But I whispered in my son's ears because it was very shocking. I was like, son, I need you to know, like this game you about to play, those kids across the field are playing for a totally different reason than what you're playing for. You love the game. They need the game. Like a lot of those kids are getting put in their ear that you're going to be the one that get us away from here. It's getting instilled in them that what you do is going to get the family out of here. So I was like, son, they're playing on a different level than you are. So you're going to have to up your game to play for a different level. And it was just funny that you said that because, I mean, that's a conversation that, that what we do for our kids and, once they get around like different kids from the hood, are they black enough? And you're like, what? They still black, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, that was just an interesting story that time, but it made me think of it when you was talking about that though.
And I guess it depends on your drive, right? What is your drive and your why gonna push you through what you're going through at that time? And we see it even in our kids, let alone seeing it in adults. And I think a lot of times we realize as we're going through whatever we're going through, like, you know what, maybe my why wasn't good enough, wasn't really good enough for me to be going through what I'm going through. Maybe I need to move on to something else because this is just stressing me out and instill my time and my energy into something that is really going to be a contribution to myself, to other people, right? Because I got to think about, okay, who am I surrounding myself around? Am I surrounding myself around people that are going to make me better? Not in a transactional type of way, but at the same time, are they going to, are they hurting me? You brought up about how your boys that you said, hey, like, let's go party, let's get it out of our system, right? And then that's exactly what you need when really that wasn't. Are we surrounding ourselves around people? And those are your boys, right? You loyal to them, right? I got guys I grew up with when I was 15, but there are certain things that in order for me to be where I want to be, I have to surround myself around other people to get through my own personal journey. Because everybody's got their own journey. You still my boys. I still love y'all. But I talk to y'all and I hang out with y'all in this capacity. And in this capacity, I will talk and hang out around these individuals in order for me to go through my own journey. And it's the same thing with them. And I think as long as you got people that understand, hey, this is what they're going through, and they truly love you and they care about you, they will understand you're not switching up on them. They're like, Anthony, he's going through whatever he's going through, and he's trying to get where he's trying to get. I think if you explain that to them hey, this is what I'm going through and this is what I need to do to get where I need to get. Obviously, as long as you're not hurting anybody, they should understand that. And so when you see that people kind of change up on you after that, then I think then you understand, all right, these people I may have to kind of separate myself from because I see they're not for me the way I thought they were. Because I would have been for them, you know, if they explained to me, hey, this is what I need to do to be better.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
Good people in your circle, man, you know, to understand your journey. Like, it's crazy that you say that, man. I remember back in, I think it was 2010, 2011, I got exposed to network marketing, right? Prior to that, me and my boys that I used to drink, chase women, all kinds of stuff with in the Navy, we used to talk about, man, we should get us a 7-Eleven. You know what I'm saying? Because if you station in Norfolk, you know, 7-Eleven is big up. Right.
Yeah.
You know, we used to talk about, yeah, we're going to get a 7-Eleven. We can put our money together and, you know, we can make brain, you know what I'm saying? So when I got exposed to network marketing, I'm like, yo, this is a quick way to do that. You know what I mean? Like, we can get out here and we just talking, doing presentations, and we made money. Like, my boys gonna love this. And man, when I started that journey and I presented it to them, man, when I say reality smacked me in my face, that not everybody is gonna be on the same journey with you. Less, but they just weren't on the same journey with me. So, you know, when I get to talking about personal development or motivation and stuff like that, I can't really talk with them in that capacity, like you said. We're talking about women and other things with sports. I can talk with them in that capacity. And sometimes they have to come to it later, you know. So, good.
Yeah, I'm smiling, man, because like I think a lot of times we kind of go through that, and at some point where we got to say, okay, what's my priorities in life? Is, you know, because a lot of us are family men, you know, we have family, got wives and stuff like that. So what is talking about sports all the time, talking about women all the time, talking about what's the latest thing going on in, you know, society, like Cardi B or something like that. Is that making my kid better? You know, is that teaching my son what I need to teach him? Am I servicing my wife? Did I clean the kitchen after she cooked? Did I take her out on a date? And I think, and so what I want to tie it into is, okay, are the things that I am surrounding myself being exposed to, are they contributing towards me getting through the journey I need to get through in order to be the man or woman I need to be? And I think on a day-to-day basis, I think that's something that you should think about. Like, hey, what am I doing today that's going to get me one step closer so that I can be the best version of myself? And that's kind of one of the reasons why I started this podcast. Like, I like talking about finances, and I like talking about, you know, being your own business person. But at the same time, you can't get to that point if you are not self-aware of who you are, where you are at in your life. Because one common thing I've noticed about successful people, they are very aware of who they are, what they're capable of, and what they need to do to get where they need to get. And so that's why I kind of like to mix this in with talking about stuff like this, because it's not just, oh, read the brochure, you follow these steps and you'll be good to go. There are other things, that are involved in this psychologically or spiritually and emotionally that have to be handled first in order to be the best version of yourself. And so I wanted to ask y'all about that too.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, boss. Like what you said, man. Dang, I don't even want to give it away for the next episode, man. But I got to touch on a little bit, man. Investments, man. You've said this word like a couple of times, and that's the next podcast for us is investments, man. But those small investments that you're making in yourself, like, and investments, all you're doing is looking for a return. Like, that's all an investment is. You're looking for a return. So those small investments that you're putting in yourself, you're looking for a return. And like, that's the same thing God is doing, like, with us daily. Like, you know, Jesus is sitting up there like, hey, man, I know he out there wilding. You know, Jamarcus is going left and right, but I'm telling you, God, he got one. I'm telling you, it's going to be a good investment for our kingdom. The way he makes people laugh and the way he talk is going to turn to where he's going to open up a podcast and it's going to catch people. You know what I'm saying? Even with yourself, like, everything that you went through, everything that you've done, that return is going to come back somehow to the kingdom, man. So, like, it's just funny that you're talking about this now, because this is how me and E roll. Like, the podcast episodes we come up to, it's not something that we think of. It's like, this is what I was going through this week, bro. And we just get a word from it and be like, bro, investments. So like now that we just sit up here talking about it and talking about it, all this is confirmation to like, you know, God just letting us know, man, these investments that I'm making in y'all should be making in yourselves too. Just like you said, like, is my investments that I'm doing, you know, talking about Cardi B, that investment, me talking about that, like, what is that going to give me in return? It's going to give you something in return. It's not going to be good, but something's going to come in return for everything that we do in our lives. Like, no matter what, like, every time it's not going to be a good return. So, man, like, I'm about to literally write that down after we get off of this one, because you just confirmed everything for Saturday, dog. I'm sorry. It's amazing because it makes me smile, because how he works, man. Just how he works to me.
Hey, yeah, man, that's good, man. That's
Crazy.
That's so much going on. Yeah, man, just to kind of go back to it, man. We started episode 1 with counseling. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that, you know, being self-aware, you like, as a man, I just started counseling when I first got to San Antonio in April. And I went to counseling. Session 1 was an awakening of, Eric, you've been through trauma, you've been through pain, you are broken. And I had to come to realization, like, man, I'm broken, man. Like, what is that? Like, how do you heal from that? Like, most of the time as men, just like you said earlier, Anthony, man, like, you're taught to, hey, be strong. Don't show weakness. What you crying for? And so all them years I done had to be strong, don't cry. And as to a certain point, man, like, you break, right? You know what I'm saying? So one of the other hidden factors to why I love doing this podcast stuff, man, is because I had a buddy of mine when I was stationed in Norfolk, one of the guys I was rolling with, as I said earlier, and he ended up committing. You know, he was a guy, you know, he was in the Navy, about to make chief, doing great in his career, but his family life was suffering, you know, and he never really talked about it. We knew some of the things that went on, and we kept, you know, we all went to high school together and kept a close-knit family. So we knew some of the things that were going on, but when I transferred and a couple other buddies transferred, he ended up committing suicide, you know? And so not understanding that, man, we need counseling, right? That was like, episode 1 was probably the most hardest ever. Like, out of all 24 that we did, episode 1 was the hardest because I had to expose that I was hurting. I had been broken all this time. And so as the episodes came along, I started becoming more self-aware. And, you know, when you tap into your feelings as a man, you understand your purpose. Like, you know how to deal and handle the emotions of what you're doing, or when your son or daughter is coming to you with something, you know how to tune into those emotions and now get the energy back out in a better way versus, you know, like Jamarcus said, he was around him into the club when they probably been giving him sound advice, you know what I'm saying? So definitely, man, I would say, like, that's the biggest nugget I can ever give any man, black, white, brown, or purple. Hey, man, go bro. Like, we all, as men,
Yeah, I think a lot of times we're not taught that. We're not taught about counseling. I think especially in the Black community, right? Therapy. They're like, well, therapy, you know, marriage counseling. There ain't no wrong with us. But it's not, counseling is not just meant, or therapy is not just meant for if something is wrong. It's meant for maintenance as well. It's meant to maintain. And so I think people kind of confuse that. And you don't have to be psychologically crazy in order to get that type of help, right? And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. I think maybe to a certain point, it's like, all right, maybe it's time to maybe change it up a bit on how you get your counseling. But there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think so. I think it all depends on how you approach the situation. You going there to learn, or you going there to enable yourself? You know, to just find somebody to just kind of cry, and, you know, that wants to listen to you. Do you go in there in search of some answers?
Yeah. Good point.
And so what I start off with you, Eric. I would like to ask you, so everything that we talked about, everything that encompassing who we are, what is your rich state of mind?
Oh man. So bro, for me, my rich state of mind, man, is that we're all progressing and we're not perfect, So striving to be more like God, striving to be a better father, striving to be um, just a better human being, man. And understanding that we're gonna make mistakes and understanding that failure is part of the journey. You just gotta accept it, Like I use a quote from Batman. Bane said, he accepted the darkness. He was born in it. Like you have to be, you have to accept it.
That's my favorite line, by the way.
Yeah,
mine too.
I was molded by it.
So yeah, it's molded. So understand that everything that encompassed your life it molded you to who you are, and you continue to seek to become a better person and a better man. Like the world is endless for you. You know what I'm saying? Like you can accomplish whatever you need to. So that's my rich state of mind, bro.
Appreciate that. Jamarcus, what's yours?
Man, shoot. For a long time when I heard, if I'd have heard this a while back, man, rich state of mind, $1 million. Like just give me $1 million and I'm good, boss. Now, man, find peace, man. I think peace is the best thing that don't got a price tag on it. If you ask a lot of people what they want, a lot of times it's just, man, I just want to be peaceful. Like I just want no drama, none of that. So find peace. And when you find yourself too far out, too far gone, don't turn around. Don't turn around and go through the same stuff and troubles that you went through. Just like the Bible say, man, just be still and let God catch up with you. That's all it is, man.
Wow. I think a lot of wisdom was taught in this topic. And I think we could probably spread into a part two and a lot of people probably needed to hear this. So I will continue to keep listening to Bro Talk because y'all, and I was talking about it probably offline, but there was a couple things y'all brought up while I was in the shower. I was like, ooh, that hit me. And so I'm glad y'all bring up the topics y'all are bringing up. And I think I'm gonna definitely be sharing it. I'll put the description in the put the link in the description of y'all podcast so that I can make sure people listen to. Because where can people hear y'all at?
Man, you can get us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Instagram, bro_talk_, Facebook, bro talk. Hey man, that's just go.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, definitely appreciate it, guys, and I look forward to doing this again. And I'll be sharing a clip of this also to y'all. I'll send it to y'all as well.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Hey, to all the Rich State of Mind fans, man, y'all keep tuning in. Hey, this podcast here is great, man. Definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. To all the fans, man, please keep staying on this one because, hey, this young man he's spitting old knowledge for real, like old knowledge. So 35-year-old just learned some stuff today. So please stay tuned, man. Rich, hey, keep doing what you're doing, boss.
I appreciate it, y'all.